Hi, James Foley here again, talking to you about my new book, Stellarphant, and in the back end papers, The True History of Animals in Space. And of course, humans, they count as animals as well. So let's talk about the first man and the first woman in space. Now, the first man in space was Yuri Gagarin. He was a cosmonaut, which is the Russian name for an astronaut. He went up into space in 1961, the first man and the first human to do this. He went up for a couple of hours, about the same length of time that our billionaire friends have been doing it recently on their little Joy flights. Now, it was a couple of years later, 2 years later in fact, that the first woman went to space. Her name was Valentina Tereshkova, also another Russian, as you may have guessed from the name. And she went up to space for a couple of days by herself. So Yuri, the first man in space, a couple of hours. Valentina, the first woman in space, a couple of days. It's still the only time that a woman has done a solo space mission. Still the only time in the history of the human race as we know it. Now, it was another 20 years before the Americans sent a woman into space. It was also another 20 years before the Russians sent another woman into space. So I'm not sure what happened in between there. And also in the meantime, the French sent a cat. So I don't know, priorities. Who knows what was going on there. So that's some little bit of the history of humans in space. Also a little bit of bonus trivia to you. Valentina, the first woman in space, she's still alive. She's a Russian politician. But Yuri actually sadly died about 7 years after his trip into space on a routine plane test flight, because he was a test pilot as well. So that's a little bit of the history of animals in space from Stellarphant.